Welcome to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, the Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the power of nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with listeners like you.
In the house behind, the life you find is something understood.
A dream can be meaningful even if you don't know what it means.
Time is keenly found. We are not alone. Water over stone, even if you're by yourself.
Today's music is called Willful Journey, created fresh for you today by Rick Clevel. A series of vivid nightmares helped her escape from the spiritual cult that she grew up in. Meet Priya Hutner, author, chef, and passionate advocate for the literary arts. She has been a swami and a bartender, a single mother and a mystic, a rebel, a writer, and her dreams changed everything. I am your host, Katherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. I'm going to share just a moment from a dream I had recently. I'm back in Santa Cruz. My mom got through her surgery, and the last full day before I headed home, I had a dream about the end of a journey. It has been a journey. What a journey. And in the journey, I am starting to dance, and that's the way the dream ends, of me dancing. And like there's just a lot of joyfulness about the journey and coming home from the journey. It's good to be home. Now let's meet our guest, Priya. Hi, Priya Hutner.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful to have you on the show. Priya Hutner is an author, private chef, and co-founder of the Tahoe Literary Festival. She is a public speaker, workshop facilitator, and hosts several literary events. She is dedicated to building community, supporting emerging writers, advocating for the literary arts, and fostering authentic human connection. Her award-winning memoir, Chasing Nirvana, A Seeker's Story of Love, Loss, and Liberation, chronicles her years in a spiritual cult and explores the complexities of belief, family allegiance, spiritual entrapment, and personal awakening. You can find her at priyahutner.com. So, Priya, I think we're already off and running. You grew up in a cult. That's what I understand. Say more about that.
Well, let's see. My I would say my dad was unhappy. My dad and mom were unhappy, and they began seeking, and he started with yoga, and as time emerged, he had connected with this spiritual teacher in New York. And I was very young at the time, and he quit his job. My mother quit her job, and we moved to New York from Philadelphia, and that started, this young, impressionable person
Mhm.
who is now, their parents are believing in somebody who can take them to God or bring them to enlightenment, or, all these spiritual promises of freedom and breaking free from attachments. And so I think that is very much part of my youth.
Mm.
And although I was very much a rebel, I didn't want to be constrained by the rules of the guru. And I guess at one point, my mother moved to Florida
Mhm.
with my younger brother, and they created this community down in Florida. So all of the New York houses, we had all these communal houses, shut down,
Mm.
and a lot of the people moved to New York. So, I mean, Florida. And that became a pivotal moment for everyone. She pretty much closed all of the communities across the country, and
She being the guru?
the guru, yeah,
Yeah.
Ma, and funneled
Oh.
them to Florida. Yeah, her name was Ma. And as all good gurus are have some sort of moniker, but she was like the divine mother,
Oh,
right? She
okay.
played that role. She was, believed to be an incarnation of the goddess Kali. Kali is the Hindu goddess of death and rebirth, and she is the one that frees us from our worldly attachments. And so I was still in New York and eventually moved to Florida to have my son. I got pregnant and
Mm,
moved to Florida,
mm,
had a son, and then moved back to New York and kind of did this back and forth thing until several years later, and several years and two children later,
mm.
I moved to Florida for a long time and then became their CEO.
So you were definitely still enmeshed in the cult at this point, still right in there, right?
Yeah, it never really went away because you had this thread of belief, right? That's
Mm,
where the complexity of belief comes in, is that, your parents believe this woman is the catalyst for your enlightenment. And
mhm,
at some point, as I got older, I wanted that. I didn't want to be in this, we had, for a short period of time was living in the suburbs of Northeast Philly, and talk about boring, like and mundane. And, I never wanted the white picket fence.
mhm,
So I thought, well, I want something bigger. I want deeper meaning in my life. I wanted to know God. I thought if I became enlightened, I'd be somebody different, somebody that could help other people and be I don't know, more wise, have more
mhm.
wisdom, who knew, I thought enlightenment was this bigger thing. I was going to get struck by a bolt of
Right,
lightning and
right.
everything would be different and I'd never have any
Oh,
pain any longer and all those things.
oh,
So at some point, you're brought in by your parents, and then at another point, there's choice.
yeah. Hmm.
But even in those choices that I moved in and I became, there became a lack of choice.
Ooh, yeah, yeah,
So, like because then in the guru tradition, you have a guru for life. Even though she was from Brooklyn, she was a Westerner, she adopted this whole Hindu, Indian, Tibetan, Buddhist culture.
right. Well, I'm sure it was very beneficial to her to have all these people turning to her for enlightenment. And I just wanted to touch on this something you're saying about longing. And like I think that's just a normal human longing to want more out of life, to want this wisdom, to want spirituality and connection with the divine. I think that is just such a normal human desire, and then to have it co-opted by this woman for her own gain is so painful. It's just
Well,
painful.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it is just something that it occurs. It occurs in religion, it
Yeah.
occurs in wellness, communities, it occurs in yoga communities. It once we give away our power,
Right.
right? But I do think that we are, as humans, we want meaning and purpose in our
Right.
lives,
Right.
right? We
Well,
want
totally.
something deeper.
We give it
I think
away
many of us do.
in our relationships a lot of times, or we give it away politically, or there's so many
Oh,
ways that we
right.
give what we give away our own agency, looking for somebody who knows the
More
way.
than us or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and give a
for
sense of
sure.
belonging. I think that sense of belonging is another really important human urge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, can be the catalyst to turn us to other things and beliefs.
Mhm.
It's funny. I was it was at Books Passage in the Bay Area, and we were talking about, it was me. Well, it was a scientist, a lawyer, and the girl from the cult, right? I mean, it was like
Okay.
a horror story. And I looked out at the room. At one point, we had wound up our talk about, we were in it, talking about my book and talking about this other woman's memoir. And I looked at everybody and I said, I think everyone's in a cult of some nature.
Ooh,
Well,
that's provocative.
the whole room backed up, but
Oh,
like,
but not me. Every y'all,
right,
maybe
the
you
whole
are.
room backed up. But if you look a little deeper, I mean, maybe it's
No, you're
cult-like
right.
tendencies,
Totally.
like we look at the Grateful Dead and how everybody followed them, and Taylor Swift and all her, I mean, and I love
Yeah.
Taylor and all her Swifties, and but there's a definite attraction, because it goes back to the belonging part.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
want to belong to something.
Right.
And
And I think that's
now we go ahead.
that's good. That's
Yeah,
just like that's so. That is such a normal human instinct and longing, and it's easy for us to lose track of what we're giving up in order to belong.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that for the most part, and anybody who's in it doesn't believe they don't know. It's like kind of you have your blinders on. You just don't know you're in it. You can't, what is it? You can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
And I think mostly we want something so deeply
Yeah.
that leads.
Mhm.
I mean, it happens in the
Totally.
political landscape as well, as we're watching it, and we can say from way, way, way far this way to the
Mhm.
right, way, 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 way far to the left.
Yeah.
We have confirmation bias. We have beliefs. We're programmed.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You have to work hard to break free from that.
Well, it's one of those catch-22 kind of things, is that we can't think of everything all fresh in every single moment. It just wouldn't be possible to move forward. And so we start with what we came from and what we've learned and what our conditioning. We just start from that. And the thing is, when do we notice the blinders, and when do we start to step away? So that goes back to your story, where you're in Florida and you're the CEO, you said, of this group. And what happens next? Let's take us to the next part of your
Well,
story.
I think at one at one point, now I was a celibate teaching.
Okay.
So so you have all that kind of sexual repression happening.
Mm.
I wasn't very good at it. And ended up having a relationship with a man from another spiritual
A little
cult.
cross-pollination.
It's a cult, an intracult relationship,
Yes.
intracult
Oh my
relationship.
gosh.
But and there's this adage of, you put these books on the shelf, right? You see
Mhm.
these things that the guru's doing and the teaching, and I kept saying, no, this is, we're being taught because of, to be this, for enlightenment, for our attachments. And the shelf eventually got heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
And at some point, I think when Ma decided that it was time for me to be a swami,
Mm-hmm.
and I was having a relationship with somebody that you could never, ever, ever say. If you revealed yourself, you would be thrown out or ostracized or shamed or all the things.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a secret. That was a secret that I held for many years. And at one point, things started shifting, and I had been having these reoccurring nightmares. And it
Nightmares.
was where you would have this dream. I had this dream where this thick kind of substance, like a putty, like I think of the, in the Matrix, when his mouth got sealed together with like a silly putty kind of thing. It was stuck in my throat,
Mm-hmm.
and I would try and pull it out in the dream, and it would snap back, and I would be choking to death.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was happening for a really long time, but I
Wow.
didn't put it together until I had this crazy dream, and it's still so vivid. Eminem was on the stage.
Eminem,
I, I'm a fan.
the rapper, right?
The rapper. Oh yeah, I'm like super fangirl of Eminem. And he was on the stage, and the whole stage and everything was illuminated in this blue hue. And I was on the side of the stage watching, and all of a sudden I felt my throat closing in the dream.
Mm.
And on this, I'm watching myself, and I went into this bathroom to kind of get it out, and it was again, I pull it out, it would snap back, it would harden, choking. So there, I wake up in a cold sweat. I'm like, oh my God, I almost died. And then I called Sumporan, who was my partner at the time, my illicit lover,
Secret.
secret, yeah,
Mhm.
my secret friend. And and he, I started talking about it. I said, God, I've been having these dreams, but last night was just this really, really scary. I felt like I was dying, and so, you go through the whole story and he said, well, what do you think it means?
He
And
asked you?
he asked me,
Good for him. That's a perfect way to explore a dream with someone.
right? And I stopped, and at first I was like, I think I need to go. I think it's time
Ooh.
to leave. And and there was dead silence on the other end of the phone. Like he was like, "What?" He said, "Maybe you're being rash."
Oh, yeah, for
Really?
your whole life. I mean,
Well,
really,
right. And so
maybe I need to leave.
maybe it's time. Yeah, it's time to go. And
Mm.
I think that was the epiphany. That was it. And it, I attribute it to Eminem now. And
Well,
then
there's some kind of archetypal ally there that really catalyzed something in you.
for sure.
And I love that it came from you. Like he didn't tell you anything. You just like, what does it mean to me? Like, and that's what came up.
Yeah, and I think it scared the hell out of him because then it's like, oh, she's gonna go. What's happening now? Now what? Am I gonna, all
Yeah.
the
Well, I
things.
imagine it scared
So,
the hell out of you too. All
no,
right.
oh
Cause
yeah,
like,
oh no,
then what?
oh no, no, no. For me, it was terrifying
Okay. Yeah.
because I had for years watched other people try to leave,
Oh.
and it never went well. And it was always, you know, Ma was from Brooklyn. She was a fighter, street fighter kind of vibe. She
Mhm.
was she was she was she didn't mince words. She swore like a sailor. And I think she would just say, yeah, you're going to come back up the ass of a cockroach next life. Like it would be like, oh shit, this is not a good plan. um but there were all the threats of you'll never be enlightened, you'll never know God, and I wanted to now my whole family lived there too,
Right. Oh my God.
and my tribe and my friends, my whole life was wrapped into this world.
Wow.
So I needed to figure out how I was going to architect and curate my own departure,
Right.
knowing what's happened to other people. And thinking, oh, she's always called me her daughter. I was always born to be serve her, born to be at her feet for the rest of my life, take care of her, take her out into the world, all the things,
Mm.
that feed us and feed our egos, right?
Yeah.
All those are in there. And I think it was terrifying. So I called my friend Lorraine, who she was spiritual teacher of her own sort, and she was guiding journeys in plant medicine, and so she said, write everything down, write a letter, write what your intention is, do all those things. And I mean, angsted about how I was going to leave, when I was going to leave, but I wanted to do it. I wanted to be honorable in it.
Uh-huh.
I still wanted a relationship with her. It wasn't like it's all,
Mm.
I thought, oh, let me be an emissary out in the world, but I just can't be here.
Okay.
I looked around the room once, and there were like 200 people in the room, and I'm like,
Mm.
nobody's enlightened. I'm in
Mm.
trouble here.
Ooh, right.
Like all those little wake ups started coming back. But the terror of telling everybody that I was leaving because of my role and my position,
Mhm.
yeah, it was scary. And I had gone to Colorado to do a panchakarma, an Ayurvedic workshop, which is all kinds of oils and enemas and all these things, and you're on a mono khichdi diet, and not because I wasn't feeling well.
Yeah. Okay.
Wasn't doing well. And it was in that moment there that, of course, I started having more dreams, and that I decided I was going to leave earlier than I was going to leave in the summer. I was ready to go.
Maybe
And
not worry about making it so nice. You just got to get out of there.
yeah, it just became the breaking point,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I
Interesting.
mean, I had
Just
been packing in a closet for months
oh,
before.
you were packing in a
I
closet.
was packing shit in a closet. Like, I was hiding in the closet, packing boxes and taking them to my boyfriend's house in Orlando. I mean, it was you know it was all very crazy.
The secret
Uh,
boyfriend. You're secretly packing and taking your secret stuff to the secret boyfriend.
Lots of secrets.
Yeah.
Lots of
The secret's like
secrets.
that that's got wads stuck in your throat that you're talking about, how it's like secrets couldn't come out.
Well, right. And if we think about, like, the energy centers of our body, and the throat center is that chakra of speaking, of expressing yourself, and so, all of that was in there, I'm sure,
Right.
like moving stuff around in all the ways.
Ooh.
Yeah. So,
Well, that's intense. And so you move box by box, but there must have been a certain point when you like left.
well, I got back from Colorado, and back from this Panchakarma, and I had called my brother to pick me up from the airport because he was going to be the first person I told. It was like, kind of, I was going to do a litmus test with everybody. Let's
Yeah.
test and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And we're halfway from the airport, and I said, "Look, I need to tell you something." And I said, "I'm going to leave." And his response was more about, "Oh my God, how could you?"
Like it was a
So
betrayal of you, you betraying him,
absolutely,
basically.
absolutely.
Um,
Everybody,
yeah.
and that was like, okay, this is probably not going to go like I was hoping it would go. That if he's kind of upset with me and feels like, oh, hurt, he was hurt.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, you're hurt because I've made this decision.
Mhm.
And then, I had my letter prepped to the
Mhm.
guru, and my mother was her right hand, like, attendant. And, I told my mother, and her first response was, "Oh, poor Ma." And I kept thinking, nobody's asking me if I'm okay.
Right,
Nobody
exactly. What about
cares.
me?
Nobody
Yeah.
cares if I'm okay.
Ooh.
And so I gave her the letter, and she said, "No, I'm not giving this to her. This is not good enough." Now, I had been there for 20 years in Florida. That didn't count the time in New York where we were growing up.
Yeah.
And, I, all of a sudden, everybody's like, "No, you can't go."
Hmm.
Now, this is all before Ma knows, right? There's
But it's words
more,
getting out, so a lot of people
it's
know.
leaking out. Yeah, the information's leaking out.
Hmm.
And now they're coming to my room and knocking on my door and trying to talk me out of this. And then my mother went in and told the guru that what was happening. And then it got ugly.
Mm.
She called, and my mother was on the phone, like, relaying. It was like like, what do you call that? Telephone? Literally, like telephone. It was literally
So mom was
telephone.
talking to your mother, and then your mother was talking to you.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yes. And Ma was not talking. At that point, she was screaming and accusing me of everything you could possibly accuse a human of. And I had the wherewithal to write it all down. I was journaling it all, writing it all down, sobbing, writing everything down on a yellow legal pad,
Wow.
and it just spiraled from there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then I was called into her rooms, and there was all kinds of more accusations, and I got thrown out of the rooms. Like, it was madness.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and I finally, it was like, "No, you have to stay a little longer. I said, "Look, let's just say I'm going on a sabbatical. Let's just make it up. All right. I was a PR person.
Goodness.
You're right. So anyway, in the end, she had gone away to do a retreat in Atlanta, and that's when I packed up everything and
Mhm.
I ran.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at that point, you had kids? Were they kids
They
grown
had
up,
left.
or
They're grown
they
up.
were
They had
gone?
gone. They were
Oh,
already in college, and
yeah.
they were gone.
Okay,
So
so you didn't have to deal
my
with
son
that.
was teaching in Japan at that point. They were out of the house. They left. Both of them had left uh, as in their teens.
Okay.
So
So this is quite the story, Priya. Oh my God, this is a roller coaster. I mean, it's intense, and I love how the dreams are so pivotal in your decision to leave. And we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back, and I want to hear a lot more about your book. It's called Chasing Nirvana. And I want to hear not about your book in particular, but you were getting some of the stories here. But I want to hear like what you've been doing since then, and the whole idea of the literary festivals and all that, and what it took to establish yourself outside of the cult must have been really intense. And what more dreams that you've had along the way, or even have had recently. I want to hear all of it.
great. But
Good. So it's Priya Hutner is our guest today, and that is the name of her webpage, Priya Hutner, PRIYAHUTNER. So I'm excited to find out what's happening next. And I'll let you know that the Dream Journal is broadcast live from the KSQD studios in Santa Cruz and co-broadcast live in San Jose by KCXU. We are podcast everywhere on the Monday after the show. Full-length videos of the conversations can be found on Spotify and also on my YouTube page at Experiential Dreamwork. We will be right back. This is the Dream Journal, and I am Katherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork. Thanks so much for your generous ratings and reviews for the pod and for sharing episodes on your social media. To help us spread interest in dreaming, follow us by looking for our hashtag The Dream Journal and at Experiential Dreamwork. But most importantly, consider telling your friends about the show. You might just find your next dream sharing buddy. It is all about sharing dreams, isn't it? So today's guest is Priya Hutner, and she's talking about her amazing memoir called Chasing Nirvana. And we're talking about how she escaped from a cult based on a series of really intense nightmares that really pushed the door open and let her know that it was time to go. So I guess what's been happening since, and how did you establish yourself? However you want to go forward with this, I think we have a lot of possibilities where you'd like to go.
okay, well, I left. I went and lived with the boyfriend, and
It was in another cult, right?
well,
Is that right?
it was in a
Okay.
Kundalini yoga cult. I mean,
Okay, man.
yeah. So yeah, they so I lived there, and then he had renovated a house. We were together, and I think it took about 4 years of hard work and
Uh-huh.
personal growth and therapy to work through what was occurring, and how after all the years of modeling, and then we broke up.
Uh,
And
yeah.
so at that point, my son was living in Tahoe, and I ended up packing everything up with him, like, we're done,
Mm.
and I moved out here, and then immediately went to do some journey work with ayahuasca.
Mhm.
I talk about deep dream states,
Mhm.
altered states in every way, but
Yeah.
I definitely felt like I needed to work through some other things with that medicine, and it did help me. Um,
Right.
and I got to Tahoe, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I knew I loved to write, and I knew I loved to cook because
Mm-hmm.
I was the ashram cook for many, many years. And so through a series of writing workshops and trying to hone my craft, I had all these journals. So I was trying to, work on the book, uh, but I had to make a living. And so, through meeting some new folks in the yoga, I was teaching yoga, and I was also working in workshop, with meeting new people. I ended up being hired by a publication called the Tahoe Weekly.
Mm-hmm.
It's now the Tahoe Guide, and I became their entertainment editor and their food editor.
Yeah.
And so I was writing about music and art and food that was happening all throughout the Tahoe area.
This is a lot because it's a really vacation community.
It
I'm
was
sure there's a
yeah,
lot.
I mean, it was I got to go to all the music festivals, and I had to find myself again, really.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Went to Burning Man. I, spent a lot of time partying and just coming back to, figuring out who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I now without
Mm-hmm.
that?
Right.
And and then some people had asked me if I would, they had heard I was a vegetarian. And so they said, well, would you make some meals for us? So between the two things, those those friends that wanted to hire me to make meals for them because they were too busy became my business, the Season
Ah.
Sage. So I began private chefing and catering.
Okay.
So those two things help support me
Mm-hmm.
as I try to figure out what next? Who am I? How do I unravel all of this stuff? And so the book went, the manuscript went in the drawer, came out of the drawer, and eventually in the last, I would say, several years is I got more serious about actually, querying and editing and revising uh and this past
Here it
March.
comes.
Yeah,
Chasing
I mean,
Nirvana.
it's only like been about, I don't know, 16 weeks now that that's
Ah.
been, yeah. And
Fresh.
so, you have this big rush of getting everything out. And summers kind of slows down a little bit, and then in the fall I'm back on it. I'm in the Brooklyn Book Festival and the Chicago Book Festival. So,
Oh, so cool.
and in the meantime,
Uh-huh.
I wanted to do something that was really community oriented, and so the publisher of the Tahoe Guide, Catherine Hill, and I decided to start a literary festival,
Mm.
something to celebrate the literary arts, and it's been amazing. This will be our third year in October.
Ah.
October 9th, 10th, and 11th is our third year.
So, Priya, I want to let you know that we have a caller.
Okay, great.
This is great. Jillian is calling. I'm not sure. Let's have Jillian connect. And where are you calling from, Jillian?
I am calling from Santa Cruz.
Oh, hi. Welcome.
Hi, love your show. Love this
Thank you.
talk.
What can we do for you? We have Priya Hutner on the line here.
Yeah, well, I've actually had the luxury of reading this book,
Ooh.
and all through the book, I kind of had this question in my mind. It's a little off topic of what you all were discussing, but you talk so much about your devotion to Ma and what she meant to you, and I've wondered through the whole book, do you still love Ma?
Mm. Wow, that's very tender.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess, oh, that's a really hard question
Mm.
because I mean, part of me, um, I wouldn't be who I am today without that.
Mm.
And, um, it's hard for me to say, I mean, as a being, a light, somebody who wants to always be kind and caring and loving, I want to say, sure, I'm sure some part of me But the other part of me is, feels like she she abused her power in a way that makes it hard.
Mm.
And so that makes it difficult in this moment right now,
Hmm.
while we're all here to say, yeah, I love her, because I did. I mean, I was completely devoted and complete. I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life serving her and taking care of her.
Yeah, that's
So
really
it's, yeah,
tender. Yeah.
yeah,
It's like a parent. When there's a parent that's abusive, like there's like these feelings of love and trust and
Mm.
pain and repulsion can be all mixed together.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. It's an interesting question, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't jump to it and say, oh yeah, absolutely not. I'm
Mhm.
not enthusiastic about like
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
But as somebody who loves humanity, and I know that there was somewhere deep inside her that she wanted to take care of people.
Yeah.
Mm.
I do believe that.
Some way she's a victim of her own cult, if you
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, yeah. What is it when you buy your own story so
Ooh,
much?
drinking your own Kool-Aid, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Pretty
Ah,
much. So
Jillian, wow,
yes.
powerful question. Do you have anything you want to follow up with or any reflections, Jillian?
No, I mean, I could feel both sides of that in the book, this like love and then almost this, little bit of anger. And just so interesting how you said earlier in the talk, how you were kind of looking around and you were thinking, is anybody going to ask me how I am?
Mm,
So
Mm-hmm.
many moments in this book where I'm like, this poor girl, you're just a girl
Hmm.
and no one, it's just like, whatever, and I kind of, I felt angry with Ma. I felt angry with your mother. Why is nobody caring and coddling her? And, there are moments where people care for you, but yeah, it kind of went back and forth between this deep love and this kind of almost removal of yourself where you kind of had to
mm.
put your arms up. So,
Yeah, for sure. And um yeah, at the end it was ugly. Anger, betrayal, everybody, it's like kind of circled the wagons around Mom.
Mm-hmm.
mm,
She was the child. She was the one that needed to be taken care of.
yeah.
She was the guru that
Yep.
that had to be cared for. And so that circling of the wagons, and I understood it because I had been part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so crazy, is that you know, I I colluded for
Yeah.
a long time in it. I understand that, but boy, at the end I thought there would be some space to for her to say, okay, go in peace.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
just never really happened.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your humanity, Priya, and that you're like your kindness, your innate kindness, and even giving her or giving Ma the grace to recognize that she was trapped in a way, even if she was never going to see that. And your mom and your brother are still involved, and that the just to give everybody. I mean, I'm very idealistic that way myself, and
Right.
right. Can
Well,
I
look, it's
like
you want to be, I mean, not false positivity, but
no
that you want to give people that benefit
right?
of the moments that they aren't in their best selves.
Well, that we have values in common, like in a moment when this country is so split, that I want to believe that there's values that we all have in common, and that even if people act very differently than I would in a circumstance, it's like I like to look for what was their perspective, what
Right.
were they, what do they care about? Because a lot of times those are the same, even if the actions are very different. And she
Right.
probably thought or still thinks that she's helping humanity and she's helping lift people up and creating this sense of community. And in a way, she is. Maybe there's some who have benefited from
Well,
her. I don't know.
she actually died
Huh?
4 years to the day I left. So when I
Oh,
left, she died on the same day.
the same
Yeah.
day. Wow.
So, and I think you're right. I think in the end, I think up until the end, she did believe that she was and she did help people.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
wasn't all, it's not all black and white.
Mhm.
And that's the interesting question that Jillian's asking is, do you still love her? And you're like, well, I feel like I have to,
Mhm.
and I don't necessarily feel that.
Have to is not the best kind of love, is it?
No.
It's not the kind you prefer to have, no.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, got it, got it. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for calling, Jillian. I love that you brought us to this level here. This is a very sweet and personal.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say goodbye, Jillian?
No, just very grateful to be able to ask my question one-on-one. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. Well, maybe we'll meet
Thanks,
up in Santa
Jillian.
Cruz sometime.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Right. So, Priya, as we're nearing the end of the show, we still have a few more minutes, and I'm wondering if you have any current dreams you want to share, or any like suggestions for people that go to from based on what you've learned, or just the conversation right now.
I well, I think it's kind of, yes, I've had it's the dreams are, it's funny. I often sometimes you get woken up by them,
Mm,
sometimes they're deep in there, and I do like to explore what's happening. I had mentioned that I in the last couple weeks I've had a lot of dreams about the ashram,
yeah.
and every once in a while they're percolating and there's things through, and they're in serious upheaval right now. So I had just gone back to visit my mother
Hmm.
on the
So
ashram.
they survived the death of Ma. The
Oh
cult.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Just,
yes, they did, and now they're trying to figure out. It feels like the younger generation is trying to. I don't understand what they're trying to do actually,
mhm,
because when I went there, it didn't feel like they had any programming. They weren't like when we were there, it was a vibrant community.
yeah.
And we had lots of people come in and do workshops and teach yoga and chanting and all of those things. That's not happening anymore.
Mm,
And the old guard is being pushed out
mhm,
and threatened, and they're not supposed to talk about anything. And there's all these lawsuits, and it has just gotten to be messy.
mm,
And, for somebody who was deeply devoted and loved their community, you want to see it. You want to see, people came and were touched,
yeah.
and yet here we
Mm,
are. So, so I think a lot of that has leaked through, and I would
mm,
say, when we want to analyze our dreams or look at our dreams, I mean, I love that you are somebody that helps people do that. That's really cool.
yeah.
But that to write it down, to have the pen and paper right next to the bed and
Mm,
write it down so you can kind of say, what is happening here?
mhm,
Because it's the unseen, we don't know. There's just so much, in here in this being
mhm.
that we, that affects us. I think the collective, I think the world, what's happening in the world, it all affects us.
Right.
And it's stressful at times. So,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I often think that the conscious mind has just such a limited perspective of what's happening, and it's valid, it's very helpful.
right.
It's incredibly valuable, and yet dreams kind of get a broader perspective. Like I'm thinking of you on standing next to or on the stage backstage watching Eminem, and then watching yourself watching Eminem, and like there's a way the dreams kind of step back and they get the bigger picture of things, and so they can help point to ways that we're stuck, the cults that we're in, that we are not serving ourselves, and also by bringing a lot of tenderness, just like as we're talking about bringing tenderness to Ma, we can bring tenderness to ourselves, and like
Yeah.
there's a way that had a longing here, we had something that we really cared about. That's what led us astray, but the longing underneath is very valid, and that applies with making come to terms with all kinds of people in our lives and really trusting that we're all human.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think that doing the deeper work is incredibly important, no matter how painful it is,
Yeah.
that excavating and getting into the deeper recesses of our being. And, I was where I have a friend who is just a phenomenal healer here. And he was like, okay, here we go. And we're doing the work. And all of a sudden she's like, well, what do you feel? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I feel anything. And she just kept digging and digging and digging. And finally she said, you got to let it out. And I go, I don't want to. I don't want to.
Well,
I'm
at
a
least
kid.
well, that's valid. I mean, we have a choice. That's the thing, you know.
We got there, but I needed some help
Sure.
because I didn't want to.
And maybe it's fine to get to the step of saying this. I don't want to, but that's acknowledging there's something there to be felt.
Right. We got there, but
It's
it
just like not that.
no.
That's why,
And
like,
I
when people
just-
have nightmares they don't want to deal with. I'm like, I respect that. Okay, but it is a thing. It happened, and so like, let's put it over here and say, okay, I'm not going to deal with you right now. But it still acknowledges the existence of that nightmare, of that whatever that seed inside of you that's ready to come out. And maybe I'm not ready. I get to have choice. I get consent inside myself.
Right, for sure. And we have our shadow, and it's not easy to confront it or figure it out and shine the light on it, and all that stuff. But it'll come out in your dreams.
Yes, it will. It will.
It'll
Maybe
lead
that's why
out.
people don't like dreams. Maybe that's why
Right.
because they're like, oh, I don't want to know that.
Well, yeah. Sometimes I don't think they have a choice, do they?
True enough. They come.
Yeah.
They break through sometimes. They just break
Yeah.
through. Like yours.
But I'm just
like,
saying,
just
dreams
kept
are
coming.
dreams. I mean, and what you eat or smoke or do, or all those things are going to affect your dreams, right?
It's so true.
There's
It's
all
so
that
true.
in there, so it's super fun. But,
Uh-huh. This powerful stuff. I mean, I really appreciate this conversation, Priya. I think
Thank
we've
you.
gone to some really amazing places, and I'm just it's delightful for me to see you creating your own life and like this literary festival that you're founded,
So good.
and just opening the door for other writers like myself. I've got a book I'm looking to get published, and like just to the word, like you've come so far from getting that gunk out of your own throat, and now you're helping other people get the gunk out of their throat.
I hope to.
Yeah. So Priya Hutner, this is the webpage your best place to get in touch with people?
Sure, yeah.
Oh,
No, that's
okay.
perfect.
Priya.
You can follow me on Instagram at Priya Hutner, and then you'll know all the things that are going on and all the fun
Perfect.
stuff that's happening.
Love it.
And I'd love people to buy the book and read it. And
Yeah.
it just won the National Indie Excellence Award, so that's kind
Oh,
of
congratulations. So
to be
we're-
validated in such a way. Yeah,
Yeah.
it means a lot. So
Any parting encouragements for our listeners?
I think if you want to write and write, do your journals and follow your dreams, and no pun intended.
That's okay. I get it.
Follow your heart and
Yeah.
and be true to yourself. I feel like authentic connection is really what we need these days. Is that deeper place of touching each other.
Absolutely. Priya, thank you. This has
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure.
Yeah, super fun.
Take care. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, and we are live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific at ksqd.org. I am Katherine Bell. You can contact me at experientialdreamwork.com or at Katherine@ksqd.org, Katherine with a K. Keep up with the shows on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and especially on YouTube by following at Experiential Dreamwork and hashtag The Dream Journal. I'd like to thank Rick Kleffel, engineer and music creator, audio editing by Suki Wessling, phones by Eric Nelson. Intro and outro pieces are both by Mood Science. And tomorrow morning when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.
Sprouting green vegetables, symbolizing